Hi, I'm Poppy. I'm 36 weeks pregnant with twins, and I thought it would be fun for today's video to talk about those early symptoms that might show that you are in fact carrying two babies, not one. So if you're watching this and you're in your first trimester, firstly, congratulations. But yeah, secondly, you don't know if you're carrying one baby or two babies until that 12-week scan, or you may have a scan earlier for other reasons. But you're just in no man's land. You don't know, is there one baby, is there two babies, there could even be three babies. So I thought I'd think back to some of my first trimester symptoms, because I wasn't massively shocked when I was told that I was carrying twins, and I've spoken to some other twin mums as well, and I thought, yeah, we'd just talk about some of those early signs. So for me, I would say the main overriding thing was that all the classic pregnancy symptoms that I'd heard of, I suffered from, but I just got them way earlier than I would expect to get them, and with more force. And I think that's something that a lot of twin mums say. So say nausea started really early. I had nausea before I had the positive pregnancy test. I had food aversions before the positive pregnancy test. And then speaking of the pregnancy test itself, I tested the first day that I could, so kind of 2 weeks after the ovulation date, and I used one of those cheapy kind of online mass bulk purchase pregnancy tests, and I could not believe how quickly the second line appeared. There wasn't a wait for 2 minutes to see if there's going to be a second line. I had 2 lines immediately. So that made me think, okay, my HCG levels were obviously pretty high. Then I did a digital test just to kind of back up what my cheapy internet test was saying, and the digital test said that I was, I think it said that I was 3 to 4 weeks pregnant, which I knew I couldn't be. So in that sense, given that it's just being based on the HCG levels, that kind of implied to me that, yeah, again, maybe there's a lot of hormones going on in my body, which is true with twins. You do have more HCG, and that's why your symptoms are often worse in the first trimester. So that was perhaps a bit of an indicator. So as well as the sickness, as well as the food aversions, I had really bad breathlessness early on. I couldn't walk far without having to sit down on a bench or kind of wait in a bus stop, get my breath back, get my energy back together, and then carry on a bit. And I remember thinking, like, I've heard the first trimester's hard, but this is kind of crazy. And I felt like my heart was often racing quite a lot. I was so tired. I felt like I had flu, but just without the feeling, you know, I knew I wasn't ill, but it was like this extreme fatigue where I felt like all I could do was just lay about in bed or on the sofa. I felt just so subhuman. It was very, very surreal. Some people say they just know they're having twins, and I wouldn't say I knew, but my husband was convinced the whole way along that it was twins. And some people say they have dreams that they have two babies, or that their family and friends tell them, like, I think you're carrying twins. And there's just this kind of, I don't know, this supernatural sort of belief that you are just carrying two babies. I didn't necessarily, I don't think I ever dreamt that I was having twins, but I did have extremely vivid dreams. And I always have been somebody that, like, dreams, you know, I remember my dreams when I wake up in the morning. But I remember in the first trimester waking up sometimes thinking, God, like, I've just, like, thought of the most ridiculous scenarios in dreamland. Like, I'd just been to the cinema all night or something. I definitely had very vivid dreams. And very early on, my sleep was disturbed by needing to get up to go to the toilet. Like, the whole time. I was getting up 3 or 4 times a night in the first trimester. That settled down in the second trimester. If you do find out you're having twins, let me tell you now that just wait till the third trimester and then you'll be getting up every hour to go to the toilet. But I definitely had this increased thirst. I was so thirsty. I couldn't really stomach food, but I just wanted to drink water and squash the whole way through the first trimester. And yeah, I went to the loo a lot as well. Very early on, I had terrible breast pain. Again, this is a classic symptom for a singleton pregnancy as well, but mine just felt so extreme. I found it painful even to be under the water in the shower. Like, just to have water hit my breasts was extremely painful. I had to wear a bra to sleep in. I started wearing nursing bras in the first trimester because I couldn't have wires like touching my body at all. I can assure you that that pain does actually go away later in the pregnancy, but it was really, really, really bad. And that breast tenderness, again, I remember speaking to other pregnant friends and nobody seemed to be finding it as difficult as I was finding it. So maybe that was a twin thing. Maybe it was. I had really dry skin, noticeably kind of just dry. A good beauty side effect was that I had much fuller, lusher hair really early on in the pregnancy. Normally my hair falls out a lot when I brush it, and in the first trimester I don't think I shed a single hair from my head. It was just like suddenly I had thick hair for the first time in my life. It's already, you know, I haven't had the babies yet and I'm already seeing that I'm losing quite a lot of that hair already now. But in the first trimester, I was all about the good hair, definitely. Another thing was that I had a bump, like pretty early on. I mean, not a big bump that I felt like I had to hide it necessarily, but I definitely felt like I could feel my body changing, and it felt like, you know, perhaps there was more going on in there than just one baby. I felt like it didn't feel like bloating, it felt like, you know, there was something there, an extra something there. One of the craziest things that I found was just a complete intolerance to certain smells. I couldn't go in my kitchen in the first trimester because of a wooden chopping board that was in a cupboard that I was just convinced smelt like so unbelievably bad. I mean, it was a wooden chopping board. Wooden chopping boards don't really smell of anything, but every time I went near the kitchen, I was like, oh, all I can smell is that wooden chopping board. It was just ridiculous. I definitely had that heightened sense of smell. Couldn't go near like the rubbish bins or anything like that. Everything turned my stomach, smell wise, and even nice smells like, you know, perfumes, aftershaves, things like that. I couldn't bear them. Like, everything just seemed to offend my nose in some way or another. Then the only other thing I really remember from the first trimester was that I was so hot, and it wasn't, so my first trimester started in February, so it wasn't the summer by any stretch of the imagination, and I was boiling. I needed the windows open at night, I needed the fan on, I was sweaty, I was so hot. And in hindsight, you know, again, being very hot is something that singleton pregnancies will suffer from as well, but you're creating just so much more blood for carrying two babies, and it's such a strain on the body to grow and build two babies that, yeah, it's very common to be very hot. So they were kind of my first trimester symptoms. Don't know if you can relate to any of those, or if that's making you think that maybe you've got two babies on board. But yeah, definitely a lot of people say it's just this strange sixth sense that you know you're carrying twins. Obviously, if you've got twins in your family, or if you've had fertility treatment, you know, you might have more inclination to think that you are carrying two. Lots of people, they will have twins completely out of the blue and it'll be a complete surprise. But yeah, it's definitely a wild time going through that first trimester with two babies, and it was strange, very surreal to have that scan and be told, yeah, there's two in there. And we were told, I was just so worried in our scan about being told that the pregnancy wasn't viable, that to be told that there was two babies, it was like I almost didn't hear that part. All I was thinking is like, well, we've got a baby, like we've got a baby. Yeah, there's two babies, but all I just wanted to hear was that they were healthy, and the sonographer said straight away, you've got two very healthy babies in there. So crazy, a crazy time. If you do find out you're having twins, congratulations, good luck. Definitely my advice would be to get on top of any sort of prep and nesting early, because once the 3rd trimester hits, you might find yourself a little bit tired. And I mean a lot more tired than the 1st trimester tiredness. So if you can get anything organisationally wise sorted in the 2nd trimester, then make the most of it. Any burst of energy you have in that 2nd trimester, use it. Get your hospital bag packed, get your nursery sorted, whatever you want to do, because once that 3rd trimester comes along, it's hard work with twins, but you know, if you end up with 2 lovely babies at the end of it, it's all worth it, isn't it? So that was my 1st trimester experience. Thank you very much for watching.